Plants are living organisms, but they live in a world that is completely different from ours. They can't run away from danger. They can't fight like animals. They can't scream, bite, or escape. So instead, plants evolved something that looks almost impossible at first. They became masters of sensing. A plant may not have a brain, but it has millions of tiny biological sensors built into its leaves, stems, and roots. These sensors detect changes in light, temperature, humidity, touch, chemicals, and even vibrations. And when the environment changes, the plant doesn't just sit there like a lifeless object. It reacts. Sometimes slowly, sometimes shockingly fast. One of the most famous plant abilities is phototropism, the way plants grow toward light. But the real science is deeper. Plants can detect light direction, light intensity, day length, even light color, wavelength. This matters because different colors of light carry different information. For example, red light tells a plant it's in direct sunlight. Far red light tells a plant it's shaded by other plants. So when a plant detects far red light, it may start growing taller faster, not because it wants to win, but because it senses competition. In other words, plants don't just chase sunlight. They analyze it. Now here's where things start getting truly strange. Plants can detect touch. Not emotionally, not like humans, but as a physical signal. The most famous example is Mimosa pudica, also called the touch-me-not plant. When you touch it, its leaves fold inward in seconds. That is not magic. Inside the leaf, plant cells quickly move water in and out, changing pressure. That pressure change collapses the leaf structure and makes it fold. Why would a plant do this? Because it's a defense trick. A folded leaf looks less attractive to insects, and it can also startle small animals. Other plants also respond to touch. Vines wrap around supports. Roots change direction when they hit obstacles. Some plants stop growing in areas where they are repeatedly touched. This is called thigmotropism, a touch-based growth response. So yes, plants can sense touch. And they treat it as important information. Now imagine this. A caterpillar begins eating a leaf. The plant cannot run. But it can detect the insect's saliva and the damage pattern. And then something incredible happens. The plant releases chemicals into the air. These chemicals are called VOCs, volatile organic compounds. To us, they may smell like fresh grass, but to insects and plants, these chemicals carry information. Some of these VOC signals can attract predators that eat the caterpillar, warn nearby leaves to activate defense genes, even warn nearby plants of the same species. So when people say, plants talk to each other, this is one of the strongest scientific examples. They don't talk with words. They talk with chemistry. Here's a fact most people don't know. Plants use electricity. Not like a phone or a battery, but biological electrical signals. When a leaf is damaged, the plant sends an electrical signal through its tissues. That signal can travel to other parts of the plant, warning them that something is wrong. This electrical signaling can trigger defensive chemicals, closing of pores, stomata, rapid stress responses, changes in growth. Some scientists even describe plants as having a slow nervous system. Not a true nervous system like animals, but a communication system that uses electrical pulses. And yes, it's real. So in part 1, we've already discovered something surprising. Plants sense light, touch, and chemicals. They send electrical signals. They react to danger in real time. And all of this happens without a brain. But now comes the most shocking part. In the next section, we will explore something that sounds impossible. Can plants remember? Can a plant learn from experience? And if plants have memory, what does that mean for intelligence in nature? Part 2 is where it gets truly mind-blowing. When we hear the word memory, we instantly think of a brain, neurons, synapses, a nervous system. So the idea that a plant could have memory sounds impossible. But in science, memory does not always mean thinking. Memory simply means a past experience changes future behavior. And plants can absolutely do that. They don't remember like humans remember. But they do store information in biological ways. And once you understand how, plants start looking less like silent objects, and more like living systems that record their world. Let's return to the famous plant, Mimosa pudica. You already know it folds its leaves when touched. But scientists asked a deeper question. What happens if you repeatedly trigger it in a harmless way? So they performed an experiment. They dropped the plant gently, again and again, without damaging it. At first, the plant folded its leaves every time, a defensive reaction. But after many drops, something surprising happened. The plant stopped folding. It realized the stimulus was not dangerous. Even more shocking. After a break, the plant still remembered. It stayed open longer than expected. This is not human intelligence. But it is a form of learning called habituation. Habituation is when an organism stops responding strongly to a repeated harmless stimulus. Animals do it. And plants can do it too. That means the plant is not reacting blindly. It is adjusting based on experience. Plants remember stress even after the stress ends. Now let's go deeper. Plants also show what scientists call stress memory. For example, drought, heat waves, extreme cold, insect attacks, high salt in soil. When a plant experiences stress, it activates survival systems. Changes in hormones, changes in gene activity, changes in water control, changes in growth patterns. But the shocking part is this. Even after the stress is gone, the plant can stay prepared. If drought happens again, the plant responds faster. If heat returns, it activates protective genes quicker. It's almost like the plant remembers. Last time this happened, it nearly killed me. I won't be slow next time. This is not emotion. This is survival biology. So how does a plant store memory without neurons? Plants store memory through at least 3 major systems. A. Hormone patterns. Plants use hormones like abscisic acid, drought stress; jasmonic acid, insect attack; salicylic acid, disease defense. These hormones don't just cause reactions. They can prime the plant so it stays ready. B. Protein and chemical changes. After stress, plants may keep certain defensive proteins active longer. So next time danger appears, the plant doesn't start from zero. C. Epigenetics, the most powerful form of plant memory. This is the truly mind-blowing part. Plants can change which genes are turned on or off without changing the DNA code itself. That is called epigenetics. Think of it like bookmarks on the DNA. The DNA is the same, but the plant marks certain areas to say, use this gene more. Silence this gene. Activate this defense faster next time. Some epigenetic changes can last weeks, months, sometimes even into the next generation. That means a plant's experience can influence how it grows later. Not by thinking, but by biological memory. Let's be clear. Plants do not have thoughts, imagination, emotions, awareness like animals. But plants do have sensing systems, signaling systems, learning-like behavior, stress memory, gene priming, epigenetic changes. So if someone says, plants are intelligent like humans, that's not correct. But if someone says, plants can store information and adapt their future behavior, that is scientifically true. So now we know plants can do 2 incredible things. White heavy checkmark, they sense the world. White heavy checkmark, they can remember past stress and adapt. But now comes the most fascinating part of all. Because plants don't just act alone. They interact with other plants, insects, fungi, and even soil microbes. And they do it using something that looks like a hidden internet. In part 3, we will explore how plants communicate underground through fungal networks. The real Wood Wide Web. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a forest the same way again. When you look at a forest, you see trees standing separately. One tree here, another tree there. Different species everywhere. But underground, it's a completely different world. Beneath the soil is a living network of roots and fungi. And this network is so complex that scientists gave it a nickname: the Wood Wide Web. It's not a poetic idea. It's a real biological system. And it allows plants to exchange nutrients, signals, and warnings without any brain and without any voice. The main reason plants can connect underground is because of something called mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi form a partnership with plant roots. Here's how it works.
The fungus attaches to the plant's roots. It spreads long microscopic threads through the soil. These threads are called hyphae. Now the trade begins. The plant gives the fungus sugars and carbohydrates, energy from photosynthesis. The fungus gives the plant water, phosphorus, nitrogen, minerals, access to nutrients far beyond the plant's root reach. So the plant and fungus both win. This partnership is so common that most plants in nature depend on it. Now here's where things become truly fascinating. Those fungal threads don't connect to just one plant. They can connect to many plants at once. So instead of a single plant and a single fungus, you get a network. A network that can link old trees, young trees, different plant species, even plants that are competing. This creates a shared underground communication system. Not a human internet, but a biological one. Scientists have tested this idea. One of the strongest examples is when plants face an insect attack. When a plant is attacked, it produces defense chemicals. But plants can also send warning signals. If nearby plants receive the warning early, they may start activating defenses before the insects even arrive. This means the plant community becomes more resistant as a group. And research suggests that fungal networks can help transfer these signals. So instead of each plant fighting alone, the ecosystem becomes a coordinated system. Now let's talk about something that sounds like science fiction. Plants sharing food. Some studies suggest that larger, older trees can transfer carbon and nutrients to younger seedlings through these underground fungal networks. This is often described as the mother tree effect. The idea is simple. Big trees have more access to sunlight. They produce more sugars. Through fungal links, some resources may flow to younger plants. This can help seedlings survive in shaded forest conditions. Now, it's important to stay scientific here. This is not kindness. This is not love. It's biology. But it is still incredible. Because it shows that plants and fungi can create a system that benefits survival at the ecosystem level. It's easy to exaggerate plant communication. So let's keep it accurate. Plants do not speak, plan like humans, hold meetings, choose friends. But plants do detect chemical signals, respond to signals, transfer resources, prime defenses, interact through fungi. And this creates something that looks like a living network of information. So now we've uncovered something extraordinary. Plants sense. Plants remember. Plants communicate underground and through the air. But we still haven't explored the most controversial question. Can plants hear sound? Can vibrations change plant behavior? And if they can detect sound, then plants are sensing the world in ways we never imagined. In part 4, we'll explore. Let's ask a question that sounds ridiculous at first. Can plants hear? Plants have no ears, no brain, no nervous system. So the simple answer is, they don't hear sound like humans. But here's the scientific twist. Plants can detect vibrations. And vibrations are the physical foundation of sound. So the real question becomes, can sound vibrations change plant behavior? And the evidence suggests, yes. Think about a plant's world. A plant is constantly surrounded by motion. Wind shaking leaves. Rain hitting stems. Insects walking and chewing. Animals brushing against branches. Soil movement around roots. To survive, plants evolved sensors that detect mechanical force. This is called mechanosensation. Mechanosensation means detecting physical pressure and movement. Plants do it using specialized proteins in their cells called mechanosensitive ion channels. These channels open when the cell membrane is stretched or disturbed. When they open, ions like calcium move inside the cell. And calcium is a major signal molecule in plants. So a vibration can trigger calcium waves, chemical reactions, hormone release, gene activation. This is not hearing with ears. It's a biological vibration detector. One of the most fascinating studies in plant science is about insect attack. When a caterpillar chews a leaf, it produces a very specific vibration pattern. Scientists tested something clever.
Instead of letting insects chew the leaf, they played the chewing vibrations to the plant. And the plant responded by activating defensive chemicals as if it was being attacked. That means the plant wasn't only responding to damage. It was responding to the vibration pattern. In simple words, the plant can detect the sound of being eaten. Not emotionally, but biologically. And that is one of the strongest pieces of evidence that plants respond to sound like vibration signals. Now let's move underground. Roots live in darkness. So how do they find water? They use chemical gradients, moisture differences, gravity, and possibly vibrations. Some research suggests that plant roots can grow toward vibrations that resemble running water. This makes sense. In nature, moving water creates vibrations through soil. So if a root can detect those vibrations, it can locate water more efficiently. This is still an active area of research, but it shows a powerful possibility. Plants may listen to the environment through the soil. Now we reach the popular topic everyone talks about. Does music make plants grow faster? You've probably seen videos where plants grow better with classical music. Plants die with loud rock music. Plants love soft songs. Most of these experiments are not scientifically reliable. Why? Because plant growth depends on light, temperature, water, soil nutrients, humidity, CO2 levels. And many music experiments fail to control these factors. However, it is still possible that certain vibration frequencies could influence growth direction, hormone production, stress responses. But this does not mean plants enjoy music. Plants don't have emotions. If music affects plants, it's not pleasure. It's physical vibration triggering biological pathways. Here is the real message of this part. Plants are not passive. Even without a brain, they are constantly processing information. They detect light, chemicals, touch, temperature, gravity, humidity, and vibrations. And they respond with hormones, electrical signals, growth changes, defense chemicals, memory priming. A plant is not a silent decoration. It is a living survival machine. So now we've explored something almost unbelievable. Plants may detect vibration patterns. They may respond to the sound of danger. They may even sense water through soil vibrations. But now we reach the final and most important question of all. If plants sense, remember, and communicate, does that mean they are intelligent? Or are we just using human words for non-human biology? In part 5, we'll bring everything together and answer. Are plants conscious? Do they feel pain? And what does plant intelligence really mean? Now we reach the question people argue about the most. If plants can sense, respond, remember, and communicate, does that mean they are intelligent? The honest answer is, plants are highly adaptive. But intelligence depends on how we define the word. If intelligence means learning, adapting, solving survival problems, responding to signals, then plants show a kind of biological intelligence. But if intelligence means thinking, planning, awareness, conscious decision-making, then plants do not fit that definition. Plants are not humans. And they are not animals. They are something else, a different kind of life. This is important. Many people feel uncomfortable when they see plants cut or damaged. But scientifically, pain requires a specific system. Pain is not just damage. Pain is damage plus nerve signals plus brain interpretation. Animals have pain receptors, nerves, spinal cord, brain centers that create suffering. Plants do not have nerves. They do not have a brain. They do not have pain receptors like animals. So plants do not feel pain in the human or animal sense. However, plants do react strongly to injury. They can release chemicals, send electrical signals, activate defense genes, seal wounds, increase bitterness or toxins. This is not suffering. This is survival response. Emotions require a brain, A nervous system. Internal emotional states. Plants do not have those. So plants do not feel fear, happiness, love, sadness, anger. But plants do have hormones. And those hormones regulate growth, stress responses, reproduction, defense. So sometimes people confuse plant hormones with emotions. But hormones are not emotions. A plant under drought stress is not sad. It is biologically responding to dehydration. Some people claim plants are conscious. This is a very controversial idea. Here is the scientific reality. Plants show complex behavior. Plants process information. Plants coordinate responses across their body. But consciousness usually means subjective experience, awareness, an inner point of view. And there is no strong scientific evidence that plants have that kind of experience. So the responsible conclusion is, plants are not conscious like animals. But plants are far more active and responsive than most people imagine. Let's summarize what we proved in this video. Plants can. White heavy checkmark sense light direction and color. White heavy checkmark detect touch and pressure. White heavy checkmark smell chemicals and release chemical messages. White heavy checkmark send electrical signals through tissues. White heavy checkmark communicate through fungal networks. White heavy checkmark prime defenses and store stress memory. White heavy checkmark adapt their future behavior based on experience. White heavy checkmark respond to vibrations and mechanical signals. All of this happens. Crossmark without a brain. Crossmark without nerves. Crossmark without ears, eyes, or a voice. So what is a plant? A plant is a living information processing system. Not conscious. Not emotional. But extremely sophisticated. The biggest lesson from plant science is not plants are like humans. The real lesson is life does not need a brain to be complex. Plants remind us that evolution can create intelligence-like behavior through chemistry, electricity, networks, and time. Animals evolved speed and movement. Plants evolved sensing and adaptation. Different solutions. Same goal. Survival. Underscore 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 underscore. Final ending, powerful closing. So the next time you see a plant sitting silently, remember this. It is not passive. It is not unaware. It is sensing the light, reading the air, detecting chemicals, communicating underground, remembering past stress, and adjusting itself for the future. All without a brain. That is not magic. That is nature. And it may be one of the most amazing forms of intelligence on Earth. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe and comment below. Do you think plants are intelligent, or are we just using human words for plant biology?
Subscribe info Beyond Borders now for more mind-blowing knowledge.